Hello everybody. So it's dot day, or should I say no dot day today, because it is the closing the books week of the quarter, and so no buy because of that. But we have a number 9 billion, and we're gonna talk briefly about Bitcoin reaching a new all-time high. This time for sure, re-broke all-time high last night. So, like I said, MSTR closed the books for Q3. That's why he didn't buy. There is no buys whenever September 30th hits in that week. There's no buy, and it's not because of a lack of conviction, as some start to say on Twitter. No, it's because of SEC regulation and accounting rules. You gotta take a snapshot of the books, and it can't change that week. That's how it works. But I bet you Saylor would have wanted to buy, because he's probably going to buy again next week. Now, about that number, he said in his tweet, $9 billion reminder of why we hodl. A $9 billion reminder of why we hodl. If you look at the price of Bitcoin on June 30th and the price of Bitcoin last week, right, on Tuesday, on September 30th, that was roughly the same, like 108.6 and 109. So because of that, I can't really tell if the 9 billion that he means is for the quarter or for the week. I think it's for the week, although I pretty much think it's for the week, because we had that big buy when it came to the Stretch launch, but I'm not 100% sure. So it could be for a week, could be for a quarter. Anyway, the point is 9 billion unrealized is the reason why they hold Bitcoin. And of course, if you look at the market cap of a company, you'd be, and the unrealized gains for, say, the quarter of 9 billion, I mean, you would be at a P, under 3 or something like that. So insane. The stack of Bitcoin, the $79 billion of Bitcoin, is growing according to Saylor at 29% a year. And so if you value that as a profit, then you get an insanely low PE. But of course, it's going to take forever for the market to agree with that, and the market may not ever entirely agree with that, which is why maybe we're going to move back into an era where companies are valued on a price to book type valuation, i.e. mNAV valuation, and we're going to move away from PEs and we're going to move into mNAV valuation for treasury companies. Perhaps that's going to be the new state of valuation of companies going forward. I want to briefly talk about the celebration, which unfortunately I was sleeping when this happened, so that's too bad. But anyways, and of course it was going to happen on the weekend. Of course these things happen when the markets are closed. That's why we need 24/7 stocks. That's really why, because MSTR would have pumped if the market had been open. Unfortunately, it wasn't the case. Bitcoin hit 125,449. Some exchanges showing it as high as 125,600. Amazing. Apparently, the OTC desks are drying up. A bunch of people on X saying the OTC desks are drying up now. I'm always wary of this, because the big accounts who made that news, I had an important phone call. You had like 10 accounts who made the exact same tweet. So, again, not so sure, but it doesn't matter. I'm not a short-term trader. I'm a long-term investor. Over the long run, I have full confidence in the price of Bitcoin. Over the long run, there is only one way. Its numbers go up, and the Bitcoin will be going up, in my view. Again. Anyways, performance. We're gaining back ground. We're gaining back mNAV. We are celebrating. So over the past 5 trading days, strategy was up 12%, while IBIT was up 9.5% over the exact same trading hours. I'm using IBIT to compare MSTR to, because they have the exact same trading hours. So what that means is that MSTR has outperformed Bitcoin by 26% over this past week. It's not quite the long-term 50% goal, that is, advertised and told by Saylor in his various presentations. It's not quite that, but let's give it time, because, there's been so much FUD. I mean, we are exiting perhaps as long as 2 months worth of FUD on MSTR. Like ever since the Q2 earnings call, which was about 2 months ago, ever since the Q2 earnings calls, we've had nothing but negativity surrounding the stock. So given that scenario, I will take the 26% outperformance over Bitcoin. I will celebrate that. And of course, I will conclude by telling you that it's a new era that begins, perhaps partially thanks to Robinhood and the fact that all of the preferreds are now listed on Robinhood. But more importantly, Stretch broke the $99 mark. So, of course, he did not sell Stretch because of the closing of the quarter. But you can see at one point on Thursday, 3 days ago, we were at 99.74. So in October, I think the odds that Stretch trades at 100 are pretty high, especially as the Fed is forecast to cut rates, and so the 10-year, the 2-year, the treasuries are going to anticipate that rate cut coming, and I think that's going to have an impact, of course, on Stretch. And so the dividend hike on Stretch, in addition to the rate cut, that's 50 basis points extra in delta that is added between Stretch and between the quote-unquote risk-free yield. And so as a result of that, I see Stretch reaching 100 sooner than later. And when that happens, he's going to ATM, and there will be more Bitcoin buys. So anyways, today, of course, no buy, but that means the next 11 weeks, we're likely going to get a buy. At least that's what I hope. So anyways, this was not investment advice, not financial advice ever on this channel. This is only entertainment. Please please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.